Welcome to St. Joseph Academy online video classes. This video is of geography subject for class 7 presented by Abhilash K. Thomas. In this video we are going to study about the chapter 8 study of continent Africa. Under that the topics which we are going to discuss, that is of resources and their utilization. Under that, there are three subtopics: agriculture, minerals and fossil fuels, industries, then finally, transportation and cities. First of all, we are going to look at the resources and their utilization. As we all know, the land is not discovered entirely until now. Uh, so much of the land is not fit for agriculture. There is some reason behind it. The landforms and the climate conditions over this continent are not favorable for formation of a fertile soil. You know that one part of the Africa is a Sahara desert, then another side on the southern part, another deserts are there, Kalahari and Namibia deserts. Okay, all these landforms and the climate condition, especially this continent is on the tropical and temperate zone area. So, uh, too much of hot, all this situation is created is not favorable for that formation of fertile soil. But the continent is rich in minerals. As we talked earlier, Africa's resources have not been utilized properly till now. The progress of some countries is being hampered by internal conflicts. Means some of the country, the government is properly working because some internal groups having conflict with the government, and the government people cannot work properly in that country because of this internal groups fights. So the development of such countries being hampered on that context. Some countries are developing their agricultural and industries and improving the condition of their people. It's all happen. It doesn't mean that the if we are saying Africa is not good for agriculture or industries and all, then it doesn't mean that it's not comprise all the. Some of the countries having some trouble, but some countries are improving their infrastructure and the atmosphere for agricultural industrial improvement. Also the people's life condition also improving some of the countries. First of all, we are going to look at the agriculture. In Africa, farming is still the sole occupation of most of the people. Means we saw that the climate conditions, the landforms, all these things prevailing Africa to become a agriculturist country. Over over all these hurdles, over all these circumstances, the climate is not good, the landforms are not suitable for agriculture. Even though Africa people are mainly their jobs are mainly oriented in agriculture. Farming is their main business, their sole occupation. Most of the people engaged in farming. Mainly they are having substance farming, like making a living by growing enough food just for the family. If they're having agriculture field or any fields, they only having the field for their family. means they are not going to produce more than for a outside sale. Okay, they are producing food crops or any crops only for their family. Farming is, in that sense, we can call substance farming. It's a very common practice in among the common people. Okay, it's a very common practice among the common people. People are not growing too much food, and after uh, in production also only for the family. They are not having much things for selling outside. So that kind of farming they are having. Farming methods are remain simple. Okay, and they are not mechanized, and is some are primitive. Even the old techniques, ancient times techniques are also still they practicing in their farms. The chief food crops of Africa are cereals and root crops. Uh, they are mainly cultivating root crops widely all over Africa because the root crops can withstand drought condition for a longer period than cereals can. So they are cultivating root crops like cassava and yam. Okay, these are the main root crops they are cultivating over there. And the chief root crop are produced mainly in Western and Central African countries. Western part, if you're looking at the Western part, Ghana, all those countries are there. And Central Africa, if you're looking at uh, just below the Sahara Desert in the uh, equatorial region, you will find near to Nile Basin. All these areas are very uh, much used for agriculture, especially the root crops are cultivated over here. Among these cereals, maize is the most important one. It is grown almost all over Africa. Millets are grown in the savanna region. The wheat and maize is grown in the more fertile areas such as Nile Basin. Especially wheat is growing uh, in the Nile Basin. Rice is cultivated in the Nile Basin and in the parts of the coastal areas, most of the coastal areas. Okay, so some coastal areas having plains. In those plains, uh, rice is cultivated. These are an overview of agriculture. Then, if you're looking at the cash crops, okay, up to this time we discussed about the food crops, rice, wheat, all those things. Now we are going to look at the cash crops. Main cash crops, if you are looking at in Africa, uh, they are bananas and pineapples that are considered as cash crops in Africa. Okay, these are widely grown all over the uh, fertile lands of Africa. Dates, figs, olives, orange, and grapes are also grown in northern African countries near to Egypt, all those countries near in and around the in the either sides of the Nile Basin. Okay, you can find this kind of uh, dry fruits. Cotton, oil palm, groundnuts, sugarcane, coffee, and cocoa are some of the important cash crops of Africa. Other important cash crops. Cotton is grown mainly in the main areas of Africa. The fertile Nile Valley is major cotton producing region that you can find on the right side of the screen. The Nile Valley you can see near to Egypt side. Okay, this is the Nile Valley. The greenish part is of very fertile areas of Nile, and you can see that wherever the Nile flowing, all the this is Sahara part. Okay, this is Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea. Okay, this is Sahara part over here. Either sides of this uh, Sahara part where the Nile is flowing over. Either sides of the Nile River, Nile Basin, you can see that greenery. Okay, so the second picture while you are looking in the banks of the Nile River, you can see that how much greenish area You can just see on the right side of the screen. Okay, then cocoa trees grown in the equatorial plains, mainly in the Western Africa. Ghana, we are going to study in this same chapter about the cocoa and cocoa plantation on the road. Cocoa beans yield cocoa, means the cocoa which is used for making chocolates. Okay, Um Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana are the world's leading producer of cocoa. These are the very important things you have to remember in this chapter. Okay, the cocoa production, cotton production, then dry fruits like dates, fig, olive, orange, grapes, citrus fruits. Okay, then banana, apple. These are the cash crops. Okay, so now we are going to look at the picture. In this picture, you can see that cash crops like banana, then maize. In maize, you can see over here cotton. Then if you are root crops like yam, here cocoa beans are drying over here. Here you will find one lady having cassava. Okay, and uh, fruits first from the left to right. If you are looking at that first one, that is olive, then orange, fig, grapes, then mm, our dates. Okay, so these are the some pictures collected from. If you are looking at agriculture, these are the some of important agriculture crops which you will find, the crops which you are find in Africa. So here, while you are looking at here, uh, the islands of Madagascar is one of the world's leading producer of clove and vanilla. Clove is a very popular spice, and vanilla is widely used to flavor the ice cream. Both the picture I given in the right side of the screen, and this vanilla is also used for chocolates and puddings and so on. And another important thing you have to remember that under the agriculture heading, pastoral farming has also included. But in Africa, as we're considering Africa, in Africa, the pastoral farming is not that much developed. There are some reason behind it, especially unfavorable geographical condition. That is the main reason in many places, and the presence of diseases caused by testis flies. That is very important thing. Two things: unfavorable geographical condition and the presence of diseases caused by testis flies. To the For the pastorals getting an disease from the testis flies. Okay, which is hampered the pastoral farming on the commercial scale. Okay, they have some small scale farming, but it is not a commercial scale business. It's not a big farms. There is no big farms. Okay, mainly because of unfavorable geographical condition and the mm, uh, diseases caused by testis flies. Okay, this is uh, very important thing. Okay, so even though milk production is because of all this, milk production is most of Africa is very low, and all these uh, things affecting the pastoral farming, even though they are having some sheep rearing has been taken up a large scale in the temperate grasslands of Veld in South Africa. So that is one of the important uh, uh, farming, sheep farming. Okay, sheep rearing is one of the uh, important pastoral farming is which we can find in Africa, especially in South Africa. Okay, so main variety of sheep is reared over there. That is merino sheep, which is very much known for the wool. Okay, so here some pictures are shown in this screen. That is, first of all, you can see from top to bottom. We will come after that. We will look at the left to Right. Okay. So at the top you can see clove, and the plant, and below dry clove you can see here plant and the dry clove, and vanilla, the plant, here the green thing is called vanilla, this green one, and the dry vanilla, uh, and the essence in the bottle. Okay. While you are looking at the left side to right side, at the bottom, the merino sheeps you can see, which is very famous for their wool, and this is a fly which cause diseases to the pastoral in uh, Africa. This is testis flies. Okay, this eh, if the fly hits or bites, the which can cause diseases to uh, pastorals. So these are the important things you have to remember in agriculture topic. Then we are going to the minerals and fossil fuel. Okay, as we already studied that African land is not good for agriculture, but the land is very much filled with minerals. So Africa is rich in many precious minerals such as diamond, gold, platinum, all these things, etc. Okay, leading producer of diamond. Some of the countries in Africa are leading producer of diamonds. Botswana, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Zimbabwe, Angola, and South Africa. And while looking at gold, leading producing countries of Africa, that is South Africa, Ghana, iron ore and copper are also important minerals of the Africa. If you are looking at that, Africa has rich chromium deposit. Okay, chromium, uh, which is used for uh, plating on a iron rod or iron pipe, and even wheels of the bike or seals, all which wherever the rest chance to get rested there, we will put a chromium, we will put chromium plating, which help the iron surface to avoid get rusting. Okay, so chromium is also used to make a steel. Okay, another part, it is also plating on the iron surface uh, to avoid rusting. Okay, it's a kind, it's acting like a rust proof. Okay, so next you can see the most African countries do not have sufficient reserves of petroleum and coal. That is one of the another important thing. However, a few African countries like Nigeria, Angola, Algeria do have petroleum reserves. Okay, so uh, if you're looking at all over Africa, it have huge deposit of gold, diamond, and platinum, and as we saw, iron ore deposit, then chromium deposit, all those things. Even though it lacks fossil fuel like petroleum or coal, some of the countries only having the resources of the petroleum and fossil fuel, petroleum and coal. Okay, so in all over uh, the Africa, if you're looking, it's not good for industrial development. That we will study in later. Here on the right side, you will find gold. Then you will find the platinum, copper, diamond, here chromium. This right side picture is chromium, and on the left side you will find the mission part, which is covered plated by chromium to avoid rusting. Okay, so these are the important thing under mineral and fossil fuel heading. And further, if you are moving forward, industries, as we already studied that some of the minerals are available there in Africa. Huge deposit of minerals are available, but as we looking at the overall development in the industry basis, uh, except a few countries, Africa is industrially not well developed because there are certain reasons behind this. Africa countries lacks coal, petroleum, and iron ore, which is required for industrialization. If there is industry, they need machines. To produce machine, they need iron ore, and to run the machine, they need energy, mainly petroleum and coal. That's are the two energy which is used mainly in industries. So all these things are not available in Africa. Iron ore is available, but coal petroleum is not having a proper deposit or sufficient deposits for industrial revolution or industrial development. These minerals are not available or not sufficient for the industrial development. Therefore, Africa countries uh, are not that much developed in the industrialized developed as an industrialized continent, or the countries are lacking all those things. So the countries, some countries are having industries and developing industries, but uh, majority of the countries in African continent not industrialized. Okay, as Africa export most of its mineral resources, they are exporting. South Africa, Egypt, Algeria, Zimbabwe, Kenya, and Nigeria are some of the more industrially developed African countries. And they are developed, and they have industries. And tourism is an important industry in many of the African countries. Uh, as we factories and all those things comparatively less, but tourism as an industry, tourism is an important industry in African countries. Most of the countries main income comes from this tourism industry. While you are looking at the tourism industry, countries like Morocco, Tunisia, Mauritius, and Seychelles, tourism is centered around the beautiful beaches. Okay, so all this, many of the films got shooted over these places. Still, uh, these are the attractions on the base of their beautiful beaches and cities, old cities. Okay, then while you are looking at some other African countries like South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Namibia, they are attractive in the sense they are wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, they have a number of wildlife sanctuaries. Most of the channels, Animal Planet or Geography, National Geography kind of channels, and the magazines having photos from these wildlife sanctuaries. Uh, um, so these countries are so much attracted to the world in the base of wildlife sanctuaries, wildlife on the base of wildlife. So another important Egypt, you can imagine that Egypt, which is well known for its pyramids and all, and the desert pyramid and all those things. Okay, so Egypt tourism industry thrive on the country's Asian civilization, Egyptian civilization. That is the main focus of Egyptians. That is what the Egypt showing in front of the world. So to know about the Asian civilization and their greatness, most of the world is rushing towards the Egypt, and they are enjoying the Asian civilization sites. Okay, so these are the some of the industries. Yeah, in in all over, if you're looking at Africa, it's not a industrially not industrially developed continent. Okay, and some countries are somewhat developed, and main industry is tourism industry. Mo- Most of the countries are depending on the tourism industry. So here you can see that in the first picture, the export of the minerals from the African harbors. Okay, they are exporting most of their minerals, and then we find that South Africa, Kenya, and all having wildlife sanctuaries. So you can see that in wildlife sanctuaries how the tourists are enjoying the sights of the wildlife. Then Egypt, well known for its pyramids and all. So that is another tourist attraction. And below that, Morocco, the town, the beaches, the old city, all these things fascinating the world. So this is all about industry. So now we are going to look at the transport and cities. Most of the African roads and railways are well built under European rule. Okay, it's not, but it is not sufficient. Okay, the Europeans are very were interested in sending raw material from Africa to Europe. Thus, Africa's railway and the road connected mainly to the areas of seaports. Okay, so all the inland areas were connected with the seaports. Okay, most of the railway lines are like that. Mines from mine site to the port seaport site. Okay, so like that, the roads and railways were constructed over that area. The difficult terrain is the major obstacle in the way of developing transport network in Africa. So it is not fully developed in Africa. The road or railway network is not fully developed. What all the development happen, all those things is uh, happened under the European rule. After that, very light constructions were happened, and the terrain, mainly the terrain. Most part of the Africa is covered with a uh, desert, and some are not swamps and all those things. So which is not good for construction roads and all. People still use animals such as camels for traveling and transporting goods. Okay, the poor land transport network is a major hurdle in the path of overall development. That is the main reason behind the uh, undeveloped areas. Okay, some countries are well developed, like South Africa, and some countries having good infrastructure, and but majority of the countries not having much infrastructure development in their country. Therefore, the country lacking the overall development. Inland waterways are limited. Means the some rivers are somewhat drying out, not having water throughout the year. So only few rivers having water, like Nile River and all, having water throughout the year, and a very fertile river. So and those rivers are very good for water transport and all. But generally, inland waterways are limited. Goods are transported by boats across the large African lakes. That is, African lakes were very suitable for transporting the goods. Nile River is navigable and is a most important waterway in Africa. Two very important sea routes are, one is Suez Canal route, okay, connecting the Red Sea and Mediterranean Sea, and another one is from, if you are traveling from India, you have to near to Madagascar, to the southern tip of Africa, that is Cape Horn, and from there along the western side of Africa, you can travel over the Atlantic Ocean. You can travel over the America, or you can travel over the mm, Europe. Okay, these are the main sea route. One is Suez Canal route, another one is uh, Cape Horn route. Okay, so these are the main uh, routes. Air transport is, however, better in this Africa. Most of the African having small and bigger airports, international airports also they having. Some of the major airports in Africa: Cairo, Egypt. In Egypt, Cairo is the major airport. In Algeria, you will find Algiers. Algiers is the main airport. Lagos in Nigeria, Dakar in Senegal, and Nairobi in Kenya, Harare in Zimbabwe, Kampala in Uganda, and Khartoum, Sudan, and Johannesburg and Cape Town, both the airports are there in South Africa. So these are the important important transport things which you can see in the Africa. So here we are going to wind up this session with this last slide. Okay, so rest of the topics we will discuss with another video. Okay, so go through this chapter and especially these topics. And if you having any doubts, we can discuss over our classes. Okay, so here I am going to wind up this session. Have a nice day.